Kavanaugh?
You agree that the spending clause statute must unambiguously authorize damages in order for damages to be available, correct?
Yes, I think that's the clear notice requirement.
Okay, and do you have any differences with petitioner on why you think this statute, RLUIPA, clearly authorizes damages?
I mean, I think petitioner put it about as good as I could. I think that it's really important to start with the individual capacity action. I think if you look at this text, it is clear as day that it applies to officials in their individual capacity. It applies to an official or any other person acting under color of state law. I grant you that if we were looking at appropriate relief in isolation, I think it'd be a much harder question, but we're not. The question that Tansen started with, and I think the court should start with here, is who is the defendant? And that makes all the difference between Sosamon and this case, because in Sosamon, the context of a sovereign defendant, there's absolutely no history of that. Damages are extremely inappropriate against a sovereign, whereas, and Tansen lays out this history in a really helpful way, in the context of individual officers, damages are the norm.
And I'm not saying whether I agree with this or not, but just to get the order of potential operations on the table, if we were to conclude that this statute does not clearly, unambiguously authorize damages, that avoids all the groundbreaking issues that you've been discussing, correct?
Well, I think you would also want to consider sort of downstream consequences with respect to RLUIPA if the court says that the text
I understand that.
Clear.
My specific question was the groundbreaking consequences you were discussing. That would be put off for another day, correct?
That might
Even
be.
though you think, and I take your point, that's why I said I'm not saying whether I agree with this or not, there would be RLUIPA consequences.
Yes, I think there would be RLUIPA consequences because I think there would be a question about the alternative jurisdictional hooks of the Commerce Clause. I think you'd also call into question the alternative jurisdictional hooks in the land use context because there'd be a question of whether that interpretation governs those separate powers. And I think the court should just sort of follow the text where it leads. This is a legal question like any other legal question. We think the notice is clear. I do think that that would probably be less disruptive than sort of all of the other consequences I was talking about with Justice Sotomayor.
Thank you.
Justice